All right, for this evening, students, I'd like you to take a look at the following slides in a PowerPoint I put together. And as you're looking at each of the photographs on the slides, I would like you to analyze them and think about them and come up with a couple descriptive words or adjectives to describe the feeling you get, the things that you see in the pictures, and so on. So the title of this PowerPoint is London in the Victorian Era, and these are all photographs from the book called Dickens' London by Peter Ackroyd, who's a really famous historian and biographer of Charles Dickens and writer about the Victorian era. And all of these photos are actual photographs taken during the time that Charles Dickens was alive, and because photography was being developed during the Victorian era, we do get an actual historical picture, an actual valid document of what things looked like at the time, which is interesting because before photography existed, people had to rely on artists to draw and sketch what was going on. But now, at that point, film was able to capture a real life image and put it into a photograph. So follow along with me, and you will be taking notes as you go. Okay, here are your instructions. Take out the handout that I gave you today from class, or if you don't have that, use a piece of loose leaf, but I do need you writing as you look at these. If you're using paper, label it Photos from London in the Victorian Era. Here's a heading for you. And then look at the following photographs, as I said, and consider each one, and then write down 2 to 3 adjectives or describing words, descriptive words, that come to mind as you look at the picture. This first picture, this first image, is a very, very busy bridge over the River Thames, which is the river that snakes through central London. And if you look, it's just completely crammed with horse-drawn carriages. These are vehicles, these are taxi cabs, these are trucks, but their version of that. They didn't have many motorized vehicles until later in the Victorian era, and even then they weren't widely used. Still, horses were used to pull carriages. And you can see people walking on the far side of the bridge, but just one side to the other, it's crammed with carriages drawn by horses. You can see gas lamps here. But take a minute, consider this picture, jot down some words to describe it. You could think about the quality of the image. You could also look at the architecture, the mass of bodies and horses and vehicles and so on. Take a minute to do that now. This next picture, second picture, again, this is the River Thames, Thames, and buildings that butt up right next to it. Take a look also at all the chimneys that you see, quite a few there. That was the way that buildings were heated through coal fires. And then this large building in the back is St. Paul's Cathedral. So you could take a look at the architecture, the boats on the river, the barges, and so on. Jot down a few ideas. This next picture is where we'll stop in the first set here, but look at the angle of these buildings, how close to one another they are. Look at the slope of the roofs, the materials that the roofs are made out of. Again, lots of chimneys you can see. Look at how many buildings you can see right next to one another. And the ground level is somewhere down here, but look, here's one level, another level, a third level, or maybe even fourth, and then another level there. Look at how vertical these buildings are, and look at the quality of them. And write down a couple adjectives that come to mind. Similar sort of photo where you get the back side of a tenement or apartment building for people who don't earn much money. And then in the book here, we do see a little bit of text. If it's in italics, that is a line that Charles Dickens actually wrote. And this under this photo, we get a quote of his. This vision of London as a place of darkness, as a place of imprisonment and suffocation never left him. Look at, again, all the chimneys. There's some people standing on the balcony back here.